All right, kicking off another brand new episode of the Steve Gruber Show. Glad to have you on board here. It is State of the Union Day, or Joint Session of Congress Day. Coming to you live from the heart of America, trying to get a pulse of what's happening here and fighting for you every single day from the foxhole of freedom, giving you better analysis than anyone else. Here are the three big things you need to know this hour. Number one, WWE's Linda McMahon, now the Secretary of Education, as President Trump has a perfect score on seating his cabinet. Something those on the left promised would never happen. Well, guess what? It has. Number two, border crossings under the Trump administration have hit all-time lows, and I mean the lowest number of crossings ever recorded in American history. It's a huge success for the president. And number three, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says the end of the war between Russia and his country is, quote, very, very far away. While Europe continues to promise more money and even boots on the ground to sustain the costly war, yeah, Trump responded to the on Truth Social. This is the worst statement that could have been made by Zelensky, and America will not put up with it for much longer. Zelensky said that to the Associated Press, by the way. Then the Trump administration ratcheted up the pressure about tenfold and announced that all aid to Ukraine was being put on hold. That happened yesterday midday, including weapons that were already in transit in Poland. Stop the shipments. It is time for President Zelensky to get off his high horse and stop the killing of his countrymen, for which there is no justification at this point. If a ceasefire can be implemented today, which the Russians are agreeable to, then Zelensky should take the opportunity to suspend hostilities right now. Do not delay, right now. More than 1,000 Ukrainians have died since his stunt on Friday. Listen, my friends, it's the only sensible response, in my opinion. Let both Russia and Ukraine declare victory. Russia, which has proven to be weak on the battlefield, can claim victory with a ceasefire. And if Ukraine signs the deal for rare earth elements, as it has already agreed to with the United States, they too can claim victory. Both sides will be enriched. Russia will resume selling oil and natural gas to Europe, and America will invest in natural resources and infrastructure in Ukraine. Both sides win. And most importantly, the killing would stop. But all of that is in complete opposition to what the warmongering world leaders and globalists are pushing for. The UK's Prime Minister Keir Starmer is promising boots on the ground and planes in the air. Here he is.
Instead, those willing will intensify planning now with real urgency. The UK is prepared to back this with boots on the ground and planes in the air. Together with others, Europe must do the heavy lifting. But to support peace in our continent and to succeed, this effort must have strong US backing. We're working with the US on this point after my meeting with President Trump last week. And let me be clear, we agree with the President on the urgent need for a durable peace. Now, we need to deliver together.
Yeah, well, guess what? I don't think the UK could get the Falkland Islands back today. He's going to have a very hard time finding enough soldiers to go to war for another country when his own country is being overrun by terrorists and immigrants who have no loyalty to the UK in the first place, much less Ukraine. He also says that Europe needs U.S. backing. Let's run those numbers again, shall we? 500 million Europeans need 300 million Americans to help defeat 140 Russians. I don't think so. Crimea considers itself Russian. The Donbass region largely votes for pro-Russian candidates every year. Ukraine isn't getting those regions back, as I have explained several times already. Those really are off the table. But Starmer, willing to send England's best and brightest to the front lines to fight for a country that has canceled its elections and suppressed or jailed the opposition. Well, Starmer also jails his own citizens for memes he doesn't like. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard continues to remind people of these outrageous policies and asks, what are they fighting for? Listen.
Many of these European countries, and Zelensky himself, who claimed to be standing and fighting for the cause of freedom and democracy, when we actually look at what's happening in reality in these countries, as well as with Zelensky's government in Ukraine, is the exact opposite. You have the canceling of elections in Ukraine. You have political parties being silenced or even criminalized or thrown in prison. You have the freedom of religion, churches being shut down. You have political opposition being silenced. You have total government control of the media. We could go down a whole laundry list of issues that are against the values of democracy and freedom. So it really begs the question, as Vice President Vance said again in Munich, it's clear that they're standing against Putin. Obviously, that's clear. But what are they actually really fighting for? And
what are they really fighting for? European leaders were more upset at J.D. Vance's recent speech than the fact that their own countrymen continue to be run over by terrorists coming into their country. It's happening over and over. Another attack in Germany just yesterday. Maybe you should focus on keeping your own citizens safe before you rush to deploy your own men into another country. So far, an estimated 1.5 million men and women are either dead or missing from Ukraine and Russia as a result of this needless war. How many more? How many more need to be run through the meat grinder? The mainstream media is pivoting to the ridiculous claim that the war is profitable for America. Thank God for lawmakers like Congressman Tim Burkett, who aren't standing for that at all. He's from Tennessee. Here he is.
Most of the money that went to Ukraine was military aid, weapons that were manufactured and purchased in the United States.
So you're paying off the war pimps at the Pentagon to prolong this war. I mean, men are dying because of somebody's profit sheet, is what you're saying, and that.
Yeah, somebody's dying because of somebody's profit sheet. That's what you're saying. Called out, Jake. It needs to stop for everyone's sake. Before Friday, we seemed to be on the cusp of peace. The minerals concession was going to benefit everyone who mattered. Would have kept Putin from further aggression because he would have been a winner by installing American interest on the eastern border of Ukraine. It would have revitalized what is now a war-torn section of the country that may never come back from this war. But President Zelensky decided to attack the only leaders that have been able to bring Russia to the table at all, us. The table didn't even exist under Biden's leadership, but that's who Zelensky has been pandering to. Zelensky doesn't like the MAGA movement or conservatives, but too bad. Trump is the president now, and Zelensky needed to be thankful for the fact that Trump was working toward a real solution for the first time in years to end the war, to end the bloodshed, but he blew it. He blew it badly. That wasn't the behavior of an ally, but of a petulant child. You know what it was? This from Netanyahu this weekend. Listen to this.
I want to thank President Trump for his unwavering support for Israel. During my recent visit to Washington, I said that Donald Trump is the greatest friend that Israel has ever had in the White House. And President Trump shows that friendship each and every day. Israel has accepted President Trump's envoy, Steve Witkoff's plan to extend the temporary ceasefire by 50 days. During that time, we can discuss the conditions for a permanent ceasefire that will end the war in Gaza.
Yeah. There you have it. By the way, the United States has been much harder on Israel than it has been on Ukraine, and yet Benjamin Netanyahu is very thankful for the United States and its support. Go to my Twitter account right now. I have a poll up. What do you want to hear most in tonight's State of the Union address from Donald Trump? You want to hear about the border, the economy, building the American dream, or peace in Ukraine? Be sure to follow. We're looking for 25 new followers today. Are you it? Go to X or Twitter and follow today. Answer the question of the poll. Are you all right, back to it now. Look, the poll is hot right now, all right? And some of the comments, Ken says, Ken Tuck, pull us out of NATO. Ratfink says, I hope the president says that we are done with Ukraine. Just going to the live feed today. David says, good morning, Steve. David Falk. Well, good morning, David. Look, go to my X account. Boom. You can call it Twitter as well. I still call it Twitter. I'm a boomer. I got it. Go there. The poll is hot. We need 25 new followers today on Twitter and Facebook and everywhere. All right, you can be part of this because with you, there's strength in numbers. All right, so that's what we're building here today. Now, as I had said, the U.S. has imposed plenty of restrictions on Israel, like how many civilian deaths are allowed, how the war cabinet is structured for Netanyahu, demanding that he surround himself, Netanyahu that is, with political leaders and entities who are of the opposition. Ukraine has had no such restrictions. No, instead, we've handed over billions of dollars in aid and equipment and said, let it rip. Zelensky still has the audacity to come into the Oval Office and insult the president and vice president. That's right, you saw it. Zelensky would be nowhere in this war without U.S. aid. Apparently, he's forgotten. What would he be left with, by the way? Canada's help? By the way, Justin Trudeau has also promised the potential of boots on the ground and planes in the air, but seriously? Big talk from a country with a total of 63 fighter jets. That's right, 63. Sending even 10 would deplete the nation's aerial protection by 16%. So give me a break, all right? These countries haven't fought a war in 50 years, any of them. The chest thumping isn't working anymore. Take a look at this poll on American support for this war from Chicken Noodle News, of all folks. Listen.
Holy Toledo, look at this trend line here. U.S. support for Ukraine is too much. Back when the war began, back in February of 2022, it was just 7%. Up like a rocket ship, my goodness. Up now in February of 2025 to 41%. And the clear majority of Republicans, and of course Republicans are in charge of the U.S. government now, 62% of Republicans say that the U.S. support for Ukraine is too much. Feelings towards Zelensky have changed also dramatically. Look at this. Confident Zelensky will do the right thing when it comes to world affairs. Back in 2022, it was the clear majority, 72% through the floor. Through the floor by 2024, just 48% of Americans say that they're confident that Zelensky will do the right thing when it comes to world affairs. And GOP confidence has also plummeted dramatically. Now the clear majority of Republicans are not confident that Zelensky will do the right thing when it comes to world affairs.
Is anybody confident of that Zelensky will do the right thing? CNN acts shocked. I don't think it's surprising at all. It's been 3 years, and Zelensky is still saying the end is very, very far away, despite the fact that peace has been within reach and was just again on Friday. Americans are fed up. I'm fed up. So while leaders like Trudeau and Starmer are willing to sacrifice their own countrymen, at least they say that, I'm thankful for our president, a man who has his head screwed on straight. Marco Rubio maybe said it best. Listen to this.
Shouldn't we all be happy that we have a president who's trying to stop wars and prevent them instead of start them? And I just don't get it. I really don't, other than the fact that it's Donald J. Trump. If this was a Democrat that was doing this, everyone would be saying, well, he's on his way to the Nobel Peace Prize. This is absurd. We are trying to end a war. You cannot end a war unless both sides come to the table, starting with the Russians. And that is the point the president has made. And we have to do whatever we can to try to bring them to the table to see if it's even possible.
Yeah, to see if it's possible. Peace is here. Rubio was right. A Nobel Peace Prize should be the appropriate reaction to Donald Trump's efforts. Instead, we have to listen to virtue signaling politicians and podcasters. They're more than willing to sacrifice more men and women from this country like you and me. They don't care. I do. Hopefully both sides will come back to the table and common sense will win out, but there's a long way to go based on what we're seeing right now and what we're seeing this week. We're a long way away. This will be, by the way, one of the big issues on the table tonight at that joint session of Congress. Now, here's the complete update on this stopping of aid to Ukraine that I mentioned at the top of the program. The move follows a fiery meeting, of course, on Friday. The Trump administration pausing all aid to Ukraine. If you miss it, this is a very big deal. This happened yesterday late, including the aid that is in Poland. There was military equipment on its way from Poland to Ukraine. He said, stop that. There is a pause, and the point of the pause is this. America's not going to pursue more military action and back Ukraine in the war if Ukraine refuses to take the off-ramp or even consider it toward a path for peace. That's where we are right now. Zelensky refusing to take a path toward peace. All right, so here's the question of the day, and I want you to take a look at it. And that is, what is number one to you tonight? What is number one to you tonight in the State of the Union? You want to hear about securing the border, strengthening the economy, building the American dream, which maybe goes hand in hand with all of these things, or peace in Ukraine and elsewhere, basically? Got a few hundred votes in so far, and right now strengthening the economy is number one and building the American dream is number two. Peace in Ukraine is coming in last right now. How would you weigh in on this? I would like you to do that. Find me on X, Twitter if you prefer. Find me there. And then follow me. We need 25 new followers today. And then, of course, fill out the poll. Fill out the poll. You can join the movement here today. Don't forget to do that. Follow me on Facebook as well. Look, time well spent. It's our most precious commodity. Every day I have people ask me, hey, Groups, how can I do more to learn more? How do I learn things like the things that you know? Well, teach yourself or have Hillsdale College do it. You know, Hillsdale College has more than 40 free online courses. I've taken them. Ivy's taken them. We like them. The new one is from Larry Arnn. He's the president of Hillsdale. Brilliant guy, by the way. He's doing a series on totalitarian novels. 1984, Brave New World, Darkness at Noon, and That Hideous Strength. Look, these are the books that tell you and give you a roadmap of exactly what's going to happen when tyranny takes hold. The decades-old novels seem like they might have a little dust on them, but man, are they right on the money for faith, family, and friends today, and what's worth fighting for. Go find out more about Hillsdale College and these great programs. Spend your time wisely. Go to gruberforhillsdale.com to enroll. gruberforhillsdale.com. It's free. You can get a free education from a world-class college, gruberforhillsdale.com. I'll be right back.
Nearly